just to recap, I'm just going to jump straight into it. Just to recap, Abraham tells all his sons not to mix seed, not to go into the daughters of Canaan. Then Isaac gets the command. Isaac gives the command to Jacob, right? That they cannot do these things because Abraham told them, you must teach it to your sons as well. But we do see Abraham, even with his son Isaac, jumps directly and tells it to Jacob directly. Abraham went to Jacob directly and made him swear that this won't happen. But Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. So what about all the other sons of Abraham? What happened to them? Which we will cover. So let's quickly read some more about Jacob. Just a couple of things just to refresh different scriptures about it. And then I want to go to examples in scripture and see what it says. Okay, so if we then go to Jubilee chapter 27, verse 1 through 27.
Jubilees 27. It says, and the words of Esau, her elder son, were told to Rebekah in a dream. And Rebekah sent and called Jacob her younger son, and said unto him, behold, Esau thy brother will take vengeance on thee, and so to unalive thee. Now therefore, my son, obey my voice, and arise, and flee thou to Laban my brother, to Haran, and tarry with him a few days, until thy brother's anger is turned away. And he will remove his anger from thee, and forget all that thou hast done. Then I will send to fetch thee from thence. And Jacob said, I am not afraid. If he wishes to unalive me, I will unalive him. But she said unto him, let me not be berefit of both of my sons in one day. And Jacob said to Rebekah his mother, behold, thou knowest that my father has become old, and does not see because of his eyes are dull. And if I leave him, it will be evil in his eyes, because I leave him and go away from you, and my father will be angry and will curse me, and I will not go when he sends me, and then only will I go. And Rebekah said to Jacob, I will go and speak to him, and I will send thee away. And Rebekah went and said to Isaac, I loathe my life because of the daughters of Heth, whom Esau has taken him as wives. If Jacob take a wife from amongst the daughters of the land, such as these, for what purpose do I further live? For the daughters of Canaan are evil. And Isaac called Jacob and blessed him, and admonished him, and said unto him, do not take thee a wife of any of the daughters of Canaan. Arise and go to Mesopotamia, to the house of Bethuel, thy mother's father, and take thee a wife from thence of the daughters of Laban, thy mother's brother. And Yahweh Almighty bless thee, and increase thee, and multiply thee, that thou mayest become a company of nations, and give thee a blessing of my father Abraham to thee and thy seed after thee, that thou mayest inherit the land of thy sojourning, and all the land which Yahweh gave to Abraham. Go, my son, in peace. And Isaac sent Jacob away, and went to Mesopotamia to Laban, the son of Bethuel the Syrian, the brother of Rebekah, Jacob's mother. And it came to pass, after Jacob had arisen to go to Mesopotamia, that the spirit of Rebekah was grieved after her son, she wept. And Isaac said to Rebekah, my sister, weep not on account of Jacob my son, for he goeth in peace, and he will return in peace. And Isaac said to Rebekah, and the Most High, Elohim, will preserve him from all evil, and will be with him, and he will not forsake him all of his days. For I know that his ways will be prosperous in all things, whenever he goes, until he return in peace to us, and we will see him in peace. Fear not on the account, my sister, for he is on the upright path, and he is a perfect man, and he is faithful and will not perish. Weep not. And Isaac comforted Rebekah on account of her son Jacob, and blessed him. And Jacob went from the well of the oath to go to Haran in the first year of the second week, in the 44th Jubilee, and he came to Luz on the mountains, that is Bethel, on the new moon of the first month of this week. And he came to the place, even and turned from the way And he came to the place at even and turned from the way to the west of the road that night. And he slept there, for the sun had set. And he took one of the stones and of that place and laid it at his head under a tree. And he was journeying alone as he slept. And he dreamt that night, and behold, a ladder set up upon the earth. The top of it reached to the heaven, and behold, the angels of Yahweh ascended and descended on it. And behold, Yahweh stood upon it. And he spake to Jacob and said, I am the Elohim of Abraham thy father, and the Elohim of Isaac. The land where thou art sleeping, to thee I will give it, and to thy seed after thee. And thy seed shall be as the dust of the earth, and thou shalt increase to the west, and the east, and the north, and the south. And in thee and in thy seed shall all the families of the nations be blessed. And behold, I will be with thee, and I will keep thee whithersoever thou goest, and I will bring thee again into this land in peace. For I will not leave thee until I do everything that I told thee of. And Jacob awoke from his sleep and said, Truly this place is the house of Yahweh, and I knew it not. And he was afraid and said, Dreadful is the place which is none other than the house of Yahweh, and this gate of heaven. And Jacob arose early in the morning, and took the stone which he had put under his head, and set it up for a pillar, for a sign. And he poured oil upon the top of it, and he called the name of that place Bethel. But the name of the place was Luz at first. And Jacob vowed a vow to Yahweh, saying, If Yahweh will be with me, and keep me in the way that I shall go, and give me bread to eat and raiment to put on, so I come again to my father's house in peace, then shall Yahweh be my Elohim. And this stone which I have set up as a pillar for a sign in this place shall be Yahweh's house, and of all that he giveth me. And I shall give thee a tenth, and I shall give the tenth of thee, my Elohim.
Again, Jacob, daughter from Haran, we did it in the genealogy. But do not take the daughters of Het, they do not please me. Hittites from Canaan. Do not go into Het, please. Don't do that. They don't please me. Remember, we'll cover it when we do Esau, what pleased Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and what didn't please them. It will be written there. But all these things were at the wall of the covenant. These things happened when the children of Abraham all came down for the Feast of Tabernacles, and he called all his sons together and gave them a command and said, listen guys, do not go into the daughters of Canaan. This is not permitted. And where did Abraham get it from? Did Abraham just all of a sudden think, I don't like these people? No, remember he had the book of Enoch, and the book of Enoch is a prophecy of what will happen. He had that prophecy and he realized what happens in the prophecy. That there were giants in the earth in those days and also afterwards, and they come through the line of Ham, because Ham marries a woman with certain genetics, and that becomes an evil generation on the earth. Right? But in Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, all the nations of the earth will be blessed. Jacob eventually gets his 12 sons. Those 12 sons become the mighty 12 tribes, and they become tribes within tribes. The genealogy then carries on all the way to the Messiah. And then the apostles start saying very interesting things. With this knowledge that we are gaining, when we start reading the New Testament, you start catching things and saying, no wonder it was spoken in parables. Okay? So, note this name Het. It's a person. And out of Het comes what? The Hittites, who Esau married. Jacob cannot go into them. Isaac cannot go into them. And even Abraham cannot go into them because they are from the Canaanites. And remember in might be part 2 or part 3, how we showed you that the Canaanites, Ham's whole line is cursed because of what Ham did. It's not just the Canaanites. You see it with Mitzrayim and Put. The same thing happens. In Mitzrayim, we start seeing, when we're covering the genealogies of Esau, we'll start seeing out of Mitzrayim, Egypt, comes the Philistines. And in the Philistines, we have giants. How's that? Oh, they are all the way from the king of Og of Bashan. That line of Roni is coming in. The Ronites. right? Now, this is told to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So we covered Abraham, we covered Isaac. We're still doing Jacob. Just a retouch on Jacob. We'll go back a bit in Jubilees and read about it. Our life got banned. So we'll read about it now, and then we're going to go to some more examples. So quickly go and read for me in Jubilee chapter 15. Just read verse 21.
Says, "But my covenant will I establish with Isaac, whom Sarah shall bear to thee in these days in the next year."
Okay, no, that's Isaac. I want Jacob. Go to 17, verse 6 and 7.
And Yahweh said to Abraham, "Let it not be grievous in thy sight because the child and because of the bondwoman. In all that Sarah said unto thee, hearken to her words and do them. For Isaac shall be the name of the seed be called."
No,
But
it's
as
not.
for the, it's not it either.
No, it was that. It was 25. Remember, we said we'll cover it in Jacob. Jubilee 25. It was verse 1 to 23. Can you remember in the other one? I said no. That's for Isaac or for Jacob.
Yeah, I remember it. I just don't remember where we were.
I think it's Jubilee 25, verse 1 to 23. I'll check now. Yes. Jubilee 25, verse 1 to 23.
Okay. It says, "In the second year of the week of this Jubilee, Rebekah called Jacob her son and spake unto him, saying, My son, do not take a wife of the daughters of Canaan, as Esau thy brother took him 2 wives of the daughter of Canaan. And they have embittered my soul with all their unclean deeds, for all their deeds are fornication and lust, and there is no righteousness within them, and their deeds are evil. And I, my son, love thee exceedingly in my heart, and my affliction bless thee every hour of the day and watch of the night. And now, my son, hearken to my voice, and do the will of thy mother, and do not take thee a wife of the daughters of this land, but only of the house of my father, and of my father's kindred. Thou shalt take thee a wife of the house of my father, and the Most High Elohim will bless thee, and thy children shall be a righteous generation and a holy seed. Thou shalt take a wife of the house of my father." Wait, I just read that, sorry. "And then spake Jacob to Rebekah his mother, and said unto her, Behold, mother, I am 9 weeks of years old, and now I neither know nor have I touched any woman, nor have I betrothed myself to any, nor even think of taking me a wife of the daughters of Canaan. For I remember, mother, the words of Abraham our father, for he condemned me not to take a wife of the daughters of Canaan, but to take a wife from the seed of my father's house and from my kindred. I have heard before that daughters have been born of Laban, thy brother, and that I have set my heart on them to take a wife from amongst them. And for this reason I have guarded myself in my spirit against sinning or being corrupt in all the ways throughout all the days of my life. For with regard to lust and fornication, Abraham my father gave me many commands. And despite all that he has commanded me, these 22 years my brother has striven with me and spoken frequently to me and said, My brother, take to wife a sister of my 2 wives, but I refused to do as he has done. I swear before thee, mother, that all the days of my life I will not take me a wife from the daughters of the seed of Canaan, and I will not act wickedly as my brother.
Adrian, just mark that spot to continue to read. You see how Esau came and encouraged him and said, Take my wife's daughters for yourself. Esau says that because they are the Hittites from Het. Also note what happens just before he continues reading. So, how my brother came to me and told me, Take my wife's daughters, Esau, from the Hittites. He says, No, I can't do that. I can't marry into the Canaanites. Because I remember the oath from my father Abraham gave us not to marry the daughters of Canaan. So here already you see Esau was busy with some crap, right? And then note how the daughters of Canaan were seen by his parents. They were seen as evil deeds. Remember before the flood how when the giants came into the daughter, or the angels came into the daughters of men and begot giants, and why the flood came, because the hearts of men were continually evil and the deeds were evil. Same after the flood. You see it through where? What did they say are their deeds? They are evil and wicked. Do not marry these people. Don't go into them. Right? This is what it says. My opinion was it's scripture. Carry on, Adrian.
I swear before thee, mother, that all the days of my life I will not take a wife from the daughters of the seed of Canaan, and I will not act wickedly as my brother has done. Fear not, mother, be assured that I shall do and will walk in the path of uprightness, and not corrupt my ways forever. And thereupon she lifted up her face to heaven, and extended the fingers of her hands, and opened her mouth, and blessed the Most High Elohim, who had created the heaven and the earth. And she gave him thanks and praise. And she said, Blessed be Yahweh, and his holy name be blessed forever and ever, who has given me Jacob a pure son and a holy seed. For he is thine, and thine shall his seed be continually throughout all generations forevermore. Bless him, O Yahweh, and place in my mouth the blessings of righteousness, that I might bless him. And at the hour when the spirit of righteousness descends into her mouth, she placed both of her hands on the head of Jacob and said, Blessed art thou, Yahweh of righteousness, the Elohim of ages. May he bless thee beyond all generations of men. May he give thee, my son, paths of righteousness, and reveal righteousness to thy seed. May he make thy sons many during thy life, and may they arise according to the number of the months of the year. And may their sons become many and great beyond the stars of heaven, and their number be more than the sand of the sea. And may he give them his goodly land. He said he would give it to Abraham and his seed after him always, and may they hold it as a possession forever. And may I see born unto thee, my son, blessed children during my life, and a blessed and holy seed, that all thy seed be. And as thou hast refreshed thy mother's spirit during her life, the womb of her that bare thee bless thee thus. My affliction and my breast bless thee, and my mouth and my tongue praise thee greatly. Increase and spread over the earth, and may thy seed be perfect in the joy of heaven, and over the earth forever. And may thy seed rejoice on the great day of peace, may it have peace. And may the name of thy seed endure to all the ages, and may the Most High Elohim be their Elohim. And may the Elohim of righteousness dwell with them, and by them may his sanctuary be built unto all ages. Blessed be he that blesses thee, and all the flesh that curses thee falsely, may it be cursed. And she kissed him and said to him, May Yahweh of the world love thee, as the heart of thy mother and the affection rejoices in thee, bless thee. And she ceased from blessing.
So, a couple of things to pick up. It says his seed was perfect and he was perfect in his generations, as we read. Question. If he mixed his seed like his brother Esau did, would he still be perfect? According to the context of what we read, no, it's abomination. That's what we just read, no. Question. If it's no, his seed won't be perfect. Are you a racist for saying it? Was Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob a racist for saying it? Or is your understanding totally corrupt in Scripture? Very simple. These things are so simple to understand. It's so simple. Also note, pick it up. Their seed will become as the months of the year. Abraham, Isaac, Jacob has how many sons?
12.
How many months are in a year for those who keep on arguing about 13 months?
12.
It's insanity to me. I don't get it. But in any case. So, here we see a blessing that his mother gives him. And he says, don't do like your brother Jacob. Please don't go in there. We'll read this again when we get to the account of Esau, right? I mean, hear me, Jacob, Esau. When we get to the account of Esau, don't do like your brother Esau does, right? Be pure in all your generations. Remember how we read in the other part and we said, hang on, that doesn't sound right. Look up the meaning of the word, and I said, perfect in all your generations, right? Pure, upright. This gave us the meaning of what that word should say. Pure in all his genealogy. He has not mixed with Canaan, as the covenant was given from the days of Enoch, the first prophet, scribe, and king to ever exist. The first book ever wrote, Enoch, first one, was written by Enoch, and then Enoch gave this covenant to his sons, all the way to Noah and Shem gave it to, we read, who? Abraham. Abraham calls all his sons, not just Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, not just, what about Ishmael and the other wives' sons? All of them, we went through it, we listed the names in the genealogy, and said, you all should not marry the daughters of Canaan, because you are all who? The descendants of Shem, Eber and Shem. That line. Do not mix. Don't go mix your seed. Now that commandment is given directly to Isaac, then to Jacob, and all of a sudden when we say it today, the same scriptures that most people claim to believe, all of a sudden we are racist for saying it. And the love of many will grow cold, and there will be a mashing of teeth. But this is all to understand that one scripture we read in Deuteronomy, the Egyptian and those cannot come into the congregation up to the third generation. That third generation is the key. This is all the context and backdrop of this, right? So we did see that when Esau did it, they married those daughters of Het. They were called continually evil. They are evil in all their deeds. It's unrighteousness. Don't marry these people. And then when Esau sees the blessing that his parents gives to Jacob, he becomes sort of a half jealous. I also want that blessing. And then all of a sudden he goes into his own seed, which is Ishmael, which is a good thing. But then he brings Ishmael also into the daughters of Roni, which is the Hittites and the Hittites and the Hivites and all of those. Okay? So I wanted you to see this. So I want to go read some small account in creation, and then come and ask some questions about this, right? So I'll quickly go and read it. Quickly go to Romans chapter 9, verse 4 through 29.
Okay, it says, who are Israelites, to whom pertaineth the adoption, and the glory, and the covenants, and the giving of the law, and the service of Yahweh, and the promises, who are the fathers, and to whom, as concerning the flesh, Yeshua came, who is over all, Yahweh blessed forever. Not as though the word of Yahweh hath taken none effect, for they are not all Israel which are of Israel. Neither because they are the seed of Abraham are they all children, but in Isaac shall thy seed be called. That is, they which are the children of the flesh, these are not the children of Yahweh, but the children of the promise are counted for the seed. For this is the word of promise. At this time will I come, and Sarah shall have a son. And not only this, but when Rebekah also had conceived by one, even by our father Isaac, for the children being not yet born, neither having done any good or evil, that the purpose of Yahweh according to the election might stand, not of works.
They are not all of Israel who are Israel. Quickly read that part again.
Let's see. I think it starts in verse 6. Not as though the word of Yahweh hath none effect, for they are not all Israel which are of Israel.
They are not all Israel which are of Israel. What does it mean? Abraham had how many sons? More than 50, right? Ishmael, all of them. Correct? Mm-hmm. Then, through all of those sons, let's say there's 50, there's way more, but there's 50. We get Isaac and Jacob. These are promised according to the seed of Abraham. Not all of them can be Israel out of Jacob. Even though they are all out of Abraham, that promise and covenant is taken away for a reason. Even though Abraham gave them the same covenant and promise, they decided not to do it. But Isaac did it and Jacob did it. We understanding what it's saying? Carry on. Just verse at a time, because I might stop you at each verse.
Do you want me to start back where we just were?
Yeah.
Okay, it says, and not only this, but when Rebekah also had conceived by one, even by our father Isaac, for the children being not yet born, neither having done any good or evil, that the purpose of Yahweh according to the election might stand, not of works, but of him that calleth.
Okay. Esau was also out of Isaac. But why out of Jacob? What did Esau do?
Mixed seed.
He didn't follow that command that comes all the way from Enoch, which we will cover. Okay? Not all of them can be Israel, because all of them are the children of Abraham. Remember, apart from this, there are way more that are not of Abraham, that are not of Shem. What about them? He's giving you the answer. Carry on.
For the children being not yet born, neither having done any good or evil, that the purpose of Yahweh according to the election might stand, not of works, but of him that calleth. It was
Stop.
said unto her,
Stop, sorry. Can you see that Esau wasn't hated just because he was born? God doesn't hate something that is innocent. A child is innocent up to the age of 20. How could Esau be hated even in the womb? No, he wasn't. He just told you. Esau was innocent. So Esau had to do something to become no longer innocent. What did he do? He broke a covenant that Abraham made to all his sons. Remember, Esau is the descendant of Shem. The same father and mother had told you they were pure in all their generations. They didn't mix their seeds as the warning as the giants gave them. Abraham said, remember the giants, how they mix seed? Don't you guys do it. Don't go into the daughters of Canaan. So here we see now that there's no, Esau is not guilty just because he's born. Esau is not guilty when he's 15 years old. He's not even guilty when he's 18 years old. He can only adopt the exception of guilt when he's 20 years or older, when he becomes accountable, when his mind can understand what is done. Then he goes when his mind is accountable and he does the opposite. He marries into hate. But there when he's born, according to God's own law, he's innocent. Next verse.
it was said unto her, the elder shall serve the younger.
The elder will serve the younger. Remember, there was a war in a womb and they were fighting, and the promise and covenant was made. Jacob had to be born first. From the beginning, Jacob had to come out of the womb first, right? So there's a war in the womb, and Esau comes out, and when he comes out, Jacob grabs his heel because he's stealing his birthright. Hence, Esau later on sells his birthright, which he thinks is his, back to his son, to the covenant of promise. Okay, that's why the heel was held. That's why Esau was seen as ruddy, red hair, but also ruddy, red all over his body. Why was he red? What happens when a woman is pregnant, even with one child, and there's no space and it moves around? Gets all the red spots and blotches on it. Go Google it for yourself. You can go and see. Next one.
As it is written, Jacob have I loved, but Esau have I hated.
Hang on. Doesn't God show no partiality? Is God not a respecter of persons? Because you keep on telling me God is not a respecter of persons. But does he love Jacob and hate Esau? Yes.
Absolutely.
So are you totally misunderstanding when you're reading the scriptures when God says he's not a respecter of persons? We'll cover that in context and go show you how wrong you Baal priests are, even you that claim to know the law and don't keep it. So Esau is hated and Jacob is loved. But they are both from the line of Shem. And the covenant of promise, as we read, is all the way from Adam through Shem, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, 12 tribes, all the way to the Messiah. When the Messiah makes his appearance, what happens? He calls those who were divorced back into covenant. As he promised Abraham, this would happen. Next verse.
What shall we say then? Is there unrighteousness with Yahweh? Yahweh forbid.
Hang on. What shall we say then? Is there partiality with God? Is God also now becoming a racist? Because Esau mixed his seed? And we are saying we're not supposed to mix seed. Is God also a racist? Paul is asking the question. I'm just putting in a slight different word. Carry on.
For he that saith to Moses, I will have mercy on whom I will have mercy, and I will have compassion on whom I will have compassion.
Carry on.
So then it is not of him that willeth, nor of him that runneth, but of Yahweh that showeth mercy. For the scripture saith unto Pharaoh, even for this same purpose have I raised thee up, that I might show my power in thee, and that my name might be declared throughout all the earth.
Even with Pharaoh, the same thing was done. Right? Harden the heart of Pharaoh so that Jacob can be blessed. Esau did something and he's hardening Esau's heart so that the promise can stay through Jacob, so that the birthright can come back to who it belonged. Because if the birthright was not stolen, it was never necessary to hold him on the heel. Saying, think for yourself. I know the babies can't talk, but in your mind, just look at this. There's a war in the woman's womb. They are fighting. And the one is trying to get out before the other because of a birthright. And he grabs his heel as if to say, why are you stealing my birthright? Yahweh corrects that by taking the blessing and giving it to the other son. Yahweh corrects that by Esau being prosecuted by Nimrod after he kills Nimrod and going and selling his birthright back to the rightful owner to where it belonged. Carry on.
Therefore hath he on mercy on whom he will have mercy, and whom he will hardeneth, he will harden. Thou wilt say unto me, why do he yet findeth fault? For who hath resisted his will? Nay, but, O man, who art thou that repliest against Yahweh? Shall the thing formed?
Sorry. Who has resisted Yahweh's will?
Esau.
Oopsie. Carry on.
Nay, but, O man, who art thou that repliest against Yahweh? Shall the thing formed say to him that formed it, why hast thou made me thus?
Will we give answer and say, Yahweh, why was I always a slave? Why could I not be blessed? Why could I not build countries and cities and kingdoms? Carry on.
Hath not the potter power over the clay, over the same lump, to make one vessel unto honor and another unto dishonor?
Was the power not given to make the one honor? I will honor Jacob and keep my covenant, and the one dishonor? Yes. Was Jacob dishonored just because he was born? No. He did something and went into the vessel who was made for destruction and became part of them. I will mix the seed of man with that of beast. Jacob, from Shem, mixed where? Beast. But not only him, hang on, not only him, Israel eventually does the same thing. And then they come out of it and they repent. And they separate themselves. There's reasons for these things. Is it racist? Next, carry on.
What if Yahweh, willing to show his wrath and to make his power known, endured with much long suffering the vessel's wrath fitted for destruction?
Carry on.
And that he might make known the riches of his glory to the vessels of mercy, which he had afore pre-prepared unto glory.
Who did he pre-prepare unto glory?
The chosen seed.
Abram, Isaac, Jacob. But hang on, I've got it wrong. Adam, through Adam a seed, through that seed all the way to the seventh of Adam, Enoch, through Enoch and his children, all the way through Noah, from Noah to Shem, from Shem to Abraham, from Abraham to Jacob, from Jacob to his 12 sons, from those 12 sons to the Messiah, bringing back the children who were thrown out of the covenant. Those children who the promise was made to. Carry on.
Even us, whom hath he called, not of the Jews only, but also of the Gentiles.
Okay. There were 12 tribes. Covenant was made. These are Jacob's sons. Jacob's name changes to Israel. And he has 12 sons. Judah, Benjamin, this is going to take long. Gad, Levi, Dan, Issachar, Naphtali, and so on, right? Yahweh locks a covenant on Mount Sinai with these descendants. Not these sons. These sons lived in Egypt with Joseph, their descendants, the 12 tribes. Not the sons, their descendants. Those sons are dead. Those descendants of those sons, these 12 tribes, is locked on a covenant on Mount Sinai. And this covenant is be obedient, walk in my ways, do not give your sons and daughters for other nations to marry, walk in my ways, keep my commandments, keep my Sabbaths, my holy days. This is the covenant I will lock with you, my people. Right? If you break it, here's the law. It will apply to me and with you. I will keep my covenant in all generations. Eventually, 10 of these 12 tribes get a divorce letter. It's called the wedding covenant. They are divorced. Only Benjamin and Judah remain, but these were all the other 10 tribes were all divorced. Now, that passage you just read in Romans, not out of the Jews only, Benjamin is also eventually divorced, not out of the Jews only who did not receive the certificate of divorce, but also the Gentiles. Who became the Gentiles mixed into the nations?
Israel.
All the other tribes. Next verse.
As he said also in Osee or Hosea, I will call them my people, which were not my people, and her beloved, which was not beloved.
Stop there. In Hosea, he's quoting Hosea chapter 1, verse 9 through 12. It says, I will call you. Let me explain it quickly. And those who have not watched the wedding covenant, if you have not watched this probably doesn't make sense. If you watched it, you know exactly. Just read that verse again. Hosea. In the book of Hosea marries a harlot because Israel plays the harlot. And 2 daughters are born of him. They are called harlots, right? House of Judah and the house of Israel. Israel is separate from Judah because the 2 sticks were divorced. They were one out of one, Jacob. They were divorced and dispersed. Only Judah remained. Israel got divorced. So in the book of Hosea it says, I will call you Luami, no longer my people. Meaning God has divorced them. They are no longer God's people. Alienated from the commonwealth of Israel and scattered to all nations. Who? Israel. The 11 tribes who remain were scattered all over, out of the promised land, no longer part of this covenant. They have become the Gentiles, living amongst the Gentiles, the Hamites, and all of those nations. Next verse.
Oh, sorry, I was reading Hosea.
And then it says, and then in Hosea it says, even though your offspring will be as many as the sand of the sea. Remember, I told you to remember the sand of the sea? Even though that your offspring will be as many as the sand of the sea, scattered in generations going by, and all these generations going by, they are multiplying as the sand of the sea. In those days, in the latter days, in those days, they will be called children of the living God again. Meaning that these who are now scattered will be all gathered back into the house of Israel. 2 sticks becoming one again. Carry on.
And it shall come to pass that in the place where it was said unto them, you are not my people, there they shall be called the children of the living Elohim.
He's quoting the book of Isaiah, which I just quoted directly. Quickly go read it. Just mark where you are.
That's what I was doing. When you asked me to read, I was already reading it.
Oh, okay.
Hosea 1?
Yeah.
Okay.
Verse 9 to 12.
9 to 12, okay. Then said Yahweh, call his name Lo Ami, for you are not my people, and I will not be your Elohim. Yet the number of the children of Israel shall be as the sand of the sea, which cannot be measured nor numbered. And it shall come to pass in that place where it was said unto them, you are not my people. There it shall be said to them, you are the sons of the living Elohim.
God divorces them, saying, you are not my people, you broke my covenant. But in those days, it was said that they will be called the sons of the living God again. Why? Through the blood of the Messiah, they can come back into the covenant. They can rejoin again, because once God has divorced you, you can't return back. This is the mystery Paul is speaking about. The Gentiles who are actually Israel, who are seen as beasts. Remember Acts chapter 10, we covered it in part 1 or 2. Acts chapter 10 in Cornelius, the blanket coming down and the beasts on the blanket that he must eat, but it's not about food, it's about the Gentiles coming back into covenant. Not all the Gentiles who were divorced, lost sheep of the house of Israel. Did the Messiah not say, I have not come but for the lost sheep of the house of Israel? Hang on. Is the Messiah also now racist by your own logic? People, you've become so ignorant. It's a pity and a shame. Now note how this phrase, sand of the sea, as the stars in heaven, is always used for the same covenant for the people of promise by a seed. Always. Who became as many as the sand of the sea? Israel. When did they become as many as the sand of the sea? When God divorced them. So God will gather all the nations back to him. Does it mean all the nations that exist or all the nations of the covenant of promise? In context, only the covenant of promise. My opinion? No. Fact. Carry on reading.
Isaiah also crieth concerning Israel, though the number of the children of Israel be as the sand of the sea, a remnant shall be saved.
The offspring of Israel, which is called the daughter of Zion. Those who were on Mount Zion and got the covenant and stayed within covenant, they eventually got divorced. Their offspring becomes as many as the sand of the sea. Remember, the fulfillment of the sand, as many as the sand of the sea and being divorced, only fulfills 70 AD after the Messiah when the temple is destroyed. And now Judah, who was not divorced, also is divorced after the Messiah. Judah goes also into disbursement. Judah is also divorced. Now only the time clock starts. At that time it starts when the prophecy says, I will scatter all 12 tribes amongst the nations. At that moment when that happened, the clock started ticking. 2 days from that day, the Messiah will return and gather who? Out of all the nations? The whole of Israel. Carry on reading.
For he will finish the work and cut short in righteousness, because a short work will Yahweh make upon the earth.
Okay, carry on.
And Isaiah said before, except Yahweh of Sabaoth had left us the seed, we should have been of Sodom, and we should have been likened unto Gomorrah.
If Yahweh has not left them a seed, they'll become as many as the sand of the sea. They would have become like Sodom and Gomorrah. Remember earlier how Abraham said, I bring into remembrance the giants. Do not marry the daughters of Canaan. Do not go mix your seed to all his sons. I bring you in remembrance the giants, for you will become like Sodom and Gomorrah. Remember Abraham said it? This is what he means. You should know this when this is spoken in the New Testament. Without this history that we are doing, the New Testament is vague. It's like starting to watch the best movie you've ever watched in your life, but you're only allowed to watch the last 5 minutes, thinking that you would understand it. You're supposed to read all these books from beginning all the way to the end before you even touch the New Testament. Carry on reading.
What shall we say then? That the Gentiles which followed not after righteousness have attained a righteousness, even the righteousness which is of faith?
Carry on.
But Israel, which followed after the law of righteousness, hath not attained to the law of righteousness?
Okay, so the Gentiles, remember Cornelius, lost sheep, who follow after righteousness. The Gentile is out of covenant. So let me take a circle and break it. It's not a whole circle. It's out of covenant, the Gentile. Carry on.
Wherefore, because they sought it not by faith, but as it were by the works of the law, for they stumbled at that stumbling stone.
What works of the law is he speaking about? The Messiah says, did Moses not give you the law to the Jews? Did Moses not give you the law? Yet none of you keep the law. So what law is he speaking about? Speaking about the law of sin and death. They still think if they sin, they must go, and after the Messiah has risen and resurrected, must still go sacrifice animals. He's become your sacrifice. You're not supposed to sin. He was your example that the law still applies, but they kept man-made laws and traditions, and that covenant is the one that it's speaking about now. Carry on.
As it is written, Behold, I lay in Zion a stumbling stone, a rock of offense, and whosoever believeth on him shall not be ashamed.
Who was the rock of offense? The Messiah. Did they crucify the Messiah for having no sin, according to their own man-made laws and traditions? Yes, because they even crucified who? A thief, but according to the law of Moses, should not be put to death. According to the law of Moses, if you catch a thief, what should happen? He should repay you sevenfold. And if he cannot repay you sevenfold, he becomes your slave until he paid off his debt. That's how slaves work in Scripture. It's debt, paying your debt. You today are a slave to the system in the mystery Babylon. You are paying your debt. That is what a slave is. Yet they killed that man on the thief. But the law of Moses doesn't say that you should do that. So what law were they keeping? Definitely not the law of Moses. They were under the law of sin and death and man-made laws and traditions. Carry on.
That's it. That was the last verse.
Oh. Okay, I thought we were going to go to the Commonwealth of Israel and how the Gentiles come back in, but that's fine for now. I think people get it so far. So let's carry on. Okay. So, how long have we been on now, Adrian? Can we still go?
Yeah, I have no idea how long we've been on, but we can keep going.
Okay. Now, I want to go show you some examples in scriptures of what happens if Israel mixed seed and what happened to them. And we'll go down that whole list until we get to Esau, who does the same thing. And then we'll see a bigger picture. So I need to show you some examples before, some after, but then so that when we get to Esau, so we can understand what's happening, so that when we go to Esau and we go to Enoch, we can see exactly what's happening. Okay, so here's some examples. What happens with Israel if they mix seed? It's actually a redundant question because you can see what happened to Esau, but I'm just trying to paint you a picture. Mix seed. Seed. And this is all has to do with Israel. That bloodline. What happens? Okay? So, let's quickly go to the first example. Let's go to the sister of the 12 tribes, right? Genesis chapter 34. We're going to read verse 1 through 31. Read the whole story so we can see exactly what's happening.
Okay. And Dinah, the daughter of Leah, which she bare unto Jacob, went out to see the daughters of the land. And when Shechem, the son of Hamor, the Hivite prince of the country, saw her, he took her and lay with her and defiled her. And his soul clave unto Dinah, the daughter of Jacob. And he loved the damsel and spake kindly unto the damsel. And Shechem spake unto the father of Hamor, saying, Get me this damsel to wife. And Jacob heard that he had defiled Dinah, his daughter. Now his sons were with his cattle in the field, and Jacob held his peace until they were come. And Hamor, the father of Shechem, went out unto Jacob to commune with him. And the sons of Jacob came out to the field when they heard it. And the men were grieved, that they were very wroth, because he had wrought folly in Israel, lying with Jacob's daughter, which thing ought not to be done. And Hamor communed with them, saying, The soul of my son Shechem longeth for your daughter. I pray you, give her to me, give him to wife. And make ye marriages with us, and give your daughters unto us, and take our daughters unto you. And you shall dwell with us, and the land shall be before you. Dwell and trade ye therein, and get you possessions therein. And Shechem said unto her father, and unto her brethren, Let me find grace in your eyes. And what you shall say unto me, I will give. Ask me never so much dowry a gift, and I will give according as you shall say unto me. But give me the damsel to wife. And the sons of Jacob answered Shechem and Hamor and his father deceitfully, and said, Because he has defiled Dinah, their sister. And they said unto them, We cannot do this thing and give our sister to one that is uncircumcised, for it would be a reproach unto us. But in this we will consent unto you. If you will be as we be, that every male of you be circumcised, then we will give our daughter unto you, and we will take your daughters unto us, and we will deal with you, and we will become one people. But if you will not hearken unto us to be circumcised, then we will take our daughter, and we will be gone. And their words pleased Hamor and Shechem, Hamor's son. And the young man deferred not to do the thing, because he had delight in Jacob's daughter, and he was more honorable than all the house of his father. And Hamor and Shechem his son came unto the gate of their city, and communed with the men of the city, saying, These men are peaceable with us. Therefore let them dwell in the land, and trade therein. For the land, behold, it is large enough for them, and let us make their daughters to us for wives, and let us give them our daughters. Only herein will the men consent unto us to dwell with us, to be one people, if every male among us be circumcised as they are circumcised. Shall not their cattle and their substance and every beast is theirs be ours? Only let us consent unto them, and they will dwell with us. And unto Hamor and Shechem his sons hearkened, and all went out of the gate of his city, and every male was circumcised in all that went out of the gate of his city. And it came to pass on the third day, when they were sore, that the two sons of Jacob, Simeon and Levi, Dinah's brethren, took each man his sword, and came upon the city, and boldly slew the males. And they slew Hamor and Shechem and his sons with the edge of the sword, and took Dinah out of Shechem's house, and went out. The sons of Jacob came upon the slain in the spoiled city, because they had defiled their sister. They took their sheep, their oxen, their asses, and that which was in the city, and that which was in the field. And all of their wealth, and their cattle, and their little ones, and their wives took they captive, and spoiled even all that was in the house. And Jacob said to Simeon and Levi, You have troubled me, to make me stink amongst the inhabitants of the land, among the Canaanites and the Perizzites. I being few in number, they shall gather themselves together against me and slay me, and I shall be destroyed, I and my house. And they said, Should we deal with our sister as a harlot?
Okay, so let's not read over what we've just read here. Shechem from Hamor the Hivite, right? The Hivite took the 12 sons. They have a daughter, Dinah. They defile her. We'll go to see what defiling is. They rape her. Says, give me this daughter, I want her. Because where are they living? In the land of Canaan, which is the inheritance of Shem, which Canaan stole, remember? And the sons answer in a certain way. And I'm going to ask you questions on the way they answer, because we want to see what happens if this happens in Israel. What are the consequences of this? So let's quickly see here. It says there, Dinah, the daughter of Leah, who she bore to Jacob, went out to see the daughters of the land. Remember, they're in a strange land. It's not yet given to her, right? Shechem, the son of Hamor, the Hivite, the prince of the land, saw her and took her and lay with her and humbled her. Can you see again Ham's line causing trouble? For what would you go and rape someone? It's in their
Great.
genes. They just can't help it. Okay?
She
Quickly
was
go
only
and
12 years old.
just go and read Genesis chapter, before I carry on here, Genesis chapter 10, verse 15 through 17.
Okay. 15 through 17. And Canaan begat Sidon, his firstborn, and Heth, and the Jebusite, and the Amorite, and the Girgashite, and the Hivite, and the Archite, and the Sinite.
It's these people, right, that is now, that what? Raped Dinah. Okay? The Hivite, Hamor the Hivite, the prince of the land in Canaan, saw her and took her and lay with her and humbled her. He raped her, right? His soul joined to Dinah, the daughter of Jacob. So here we see Ham's line coming again, not just doing it with Noah, now doing it with Dinah. Okay, and then listen to the response of the sons of Jacob. Listen carefully to it in verse 7. The sons of Jacob came in from the field when they heard it, the rape of Dinah. The men were grieved and they were very angry because he had done folly in Israel in laying with Jacob's daughter. A thing ought not to be done. Question. All 12 sons says, this Hivite that lays with a daughter of Israel, a folly, a thing not to be done. Are they racist? Why is it not to be done? Abraham said, do not go marry with the daughters of Canaan. Isaac said not to go marry with the daughters of Canaan. Jacob said not to go marry with the daughters of Canaan. And his 12 sons just confirmed, do not marry with the daughters of Canaan. This thing ought not to be done in Israel. They're keeping the covenant with their father Abraham. Question. Are they now too racist? Are all 12 tribes, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and the 12 tribes racist now? Listen to this. What happens? Verse 13. The sons of Jacob answered Shechem and Hamor and his father with deceit when they spoke, because he had defiled Dinah, their sister. So they are answering them. They said, give us your daughter. And they said, well, let's answer them with the deceit. They're living in a foreign land. You can see Jacob is very worried because they are few in number and there are many around them. And he's so afraid that these people are now going to come and kill them. But they forgot the creed of Israel, the promise and the covenant made. Now, they answer with deceit and saying, okay, we'll give you our sister Dinah. They can't be wise ass about this because there's many in the land. Unless all of you get circumcised, all the men, you can now get our sister Dinah. They're answering with deceit, meaning lying. Remember, there's a time to cheat and a time to steal. A time
Breaking
to
up
lie.
really bad, brother.
So here comes this 12 sons and they're answering with deceit, saying, unless you, Hivites and Hittites, and unless you all get circumcised, you cannot marry my sister. And they do it for a reason, because their covenant is circumcision. Remember what Abraham told them? They have been through it. You that have been circumcised today as a man, today if you have been through it, always remember the 3rd, 4th and 5th day. Very bad, very sore if you get circumcised. On the 3rd day of their circumcision, they are all in pain. They can't lift the sword in the hand. They are in pain because of circumcision, making it easier for those 2 brothers to go and slay for what they did to their sister. For it is not allowed in Israel for the daughters of the Canaanite to mix with Israel. This is a covenant, Lot, all the way from Adam, all the way through Enoch, all the way through Shem, Eber, all of them to this point. The consequence of mixing seed is a whole nation dies for it. Question, is this whole nation racist for doing that? Think about my question. Answer it in your head. Because if your logic is, if we are saying do not mix your seed, is not permitted by the Most High, and it's locked in a covenant, which is part of the whole law, and you're calling us racist, you now have to not only call everyone from Adam to Abraham racist, it's all the way to the 12 sons that are now racist. Following the logic? Are you failing it? Your scales unbalanced? Or have you been taught wrongly? Don't be partial in God's law. Right? So now, it says the sons spoke in deceit, and then they start slowing them, right? It says that the sons of Jacob answered Shechem and Hamor, his father, with deceit when they spoke, because he had defiled Dinah, their sister, and said to them, we cannot do this thing to give you our sister to one who is uncircumcised, for that is a reproach to us. Is the issue the circumcision? No, they answered with deceit. The issue is not circumcision, that's their excuse, so that they can slay them. Is that a consequence that you want to bear? Is that a consequence? Let's say 12,000 of each tribe, the 144,000 come back. Is that a consequence? Would you stand up to one of those anointed 144 and tell them, well, that's racist? Good luck. Verse 22. Only on this condition will the men consent to us to live with us, because to become one people. In every male amongst us circumcised, they are circumcised. So they want to become one with Israel. And Yahweh said, Israel is my prized possession. No, this is not permitted. Verse 25. On the third day, when they were sore, two of Jacob's sons, Simeon and Levi, Dinah's brothers from that mother, each took his sword, came upon the uncircumcised city, and killed all the males. They killed Hamor and Shechem, his son, with the edge of the sword, and took Dinah out of Shechem's house and went away. Was the consequence of mixing seed dying by the edge of the sword? Isn't that a bit racist by your liberal terms today? Ooh, you're preaching a different gospel if it is. Okay, let's go read the account. Go to the book of Jasher. We're going to read the same account, verse 33, chapter 33, verse 1 to 52.
And in some time after, Jacob went away from the borders of the land, and he came to the land of Shalem. This is the city of Shechem, which is in the land of Canaan. And he rested in front of the city. And he brought a parcel into the field which was there from the children of Hamor, the people of the land, for 5 shekels. And Jacob built himself there a house, and he pitched his tent there, and he made booths for his cattle. Therefore he called the name of that place Succoth. And Jacob remained in Succoth a year and 6 months. At that time, some of the women of the inhabitants of the land went to the city of Shechem to dance and rejoice with the daughters of the people of the city. And when they went forth, then Rachel and Leah, the wives of Jacob, with their families also went to behold their rejoicing of the daughters of the city. And Dinah, the daughter of Jacob, also along with them, and saw the daughters of the city, and remained there before the daughters, whilst all the people of the city were standing by them to behold their rejoicings, and all the great people of the city were there. And Shechem, the son of Hamor, the prince of the land, was also standing there to see them. And Shechem beheld Dinah, the daughter of Jacob, sitting with her mother before the daughters of the city, and the damsel pleased him greatly. And there he asked his friends and his people, saying, Whose daughter is sitting amongst the women, whom I do not know in this city? And they said unto him, Surely this is the daughter of Jacob, the son of Isaac, the Hebrew. He has dwelt in the city for some time. And when it is reported that the daughters of the land were going forth to rejoice, she went with her mother and the maidservants to sit amongst them, as thou seest. And Shechem beheld Dinah, the daughter of Jacob, and when he looked, his soul became fixed upon Dinah. And he sent her and had taken her by force. And Dinah came to the house of Shechem, and he seized her forcibly and laid with her, and humbled her. And he loved her exceedingly, and placed her in his house. And they came and told those things unto Jacob. And Jacob heard that Shechem had defiled his daughter Dinah. And Jacob sent 12 of his servants to fetch Dinah from the house of Shechem. And they went and came to the house of Shechem to take Dinah away from there. And when they came, Shechem went out with them to his men and drove them from his house. He would not suffer them to come before Dinah, but Shechem was sitting with Dinah, kissing and embracing her before their eyes. And the servants of Jacob came back and told him, saying, When we came, he and his men drove us away, and thus did Shechem do unto Dinah before our eyes. And Jacob knew, moreover, that Shechem had defiled his daughter, but said nothing. And his sons were feeding his cattle in the field, and Jacob remained silent until their return. And before his sons came home, Jacob sent 2 maidens from his servants' daughters to take care of Dinah in the house of Shechem, and to remain with her. And Shechem sent 3 of his friends to his father Hamor, the son of Chickadim, the son of Pered, saying, Get me this damsel for a wife. And Hamor, the son of Chickadim the Hivite, came to the house of Shechem his son, and sat before him. And Hamor said unto his son Shechem, Is there then no woman amongst the daughters of thy people, that thou wilt take an Hebrew woman, who is not of thy people? And Shechem said to him, Her only must thou get for me, for she is delightful in my sight. And Hamor did according to the word of his son, and he was greatly beloved by him. And Hamor went forth to Jacob to commune with him concerning this matter. And when he had gone from the house of his son Shechem, before he came to Jacob to speak to him, behold, the sons of Jacob had come from the fields as soon as they had heard the thing that Shechem the son of Hamor had done. And the men were very much grieved concerning their sister, and they all came home fired with anger before the time of the gathering of the cattle. And they came and sat before their father, and they spoke unto him, kindled with wrath, saying, Surely death is due to this man, to this household, because Yahweh of the whole earth commanded Noah and his children that man shall never rob nor commit adultery. Now behold, Shechem has both ravaged and committed fornication with our sister, and not one of all the people of the city spoke a word to him. Surely thou knowest and understand that the judgment of death is due to Shechem, and to his father, and to the whole city, on the account of this thing which he has done. And whilst they were speaking, to their father in this matter, behold, Hamor, the father of Shechem, came to speak to Jacob the words of his son concerning Dinah, and he sat down before Jacob and before his sons. And Hamor spoke unto them, saying, The soul of my son Shechem longeth for your daughter. I pray you, give her unto him for a wife, and intermarry with us, and give us your daughters, and we will give you our daughters, and you shall dwell with us in this land, and we will be as a people in the land. For our land is very extensive, so dwell ye and trade therein, and get possessions in it, and do therein as you desire, and no one shall prevent you by saying a word to you. And Hamor ceased speaking unto Jacob and his sons, and behold, Shechem his son had come before him and sat before them. And Shechem spoke before Jacob and his sons, saying, May I find favor in your sight, that you will give me your daughter, and whatsoever you shall say unto me, I shall do for her. Ask me for abundance of dowry and a gift, and I will give it. And whatsoever you shall say unto me, that will I do. And whosoever he be that rebel against your orders, he shall die. Only give me the damsel for a wife. And Simeon and Levi answered Hamor and Shechem and his son, This will do for you. And behold, our sister is in your house. But keep away from her until we send our father Isaac concerning this matter, for we can do nothing without his consent. For we knoweth the ways of our father Abraham, and whatever he saith unto us we will tell you, and we will conceal nothing from you. And Simeon and Levi spoke this unto Shechem and to his father in order to find pretext and seek counsel, what was done to Shechem and to the city in this matter. And when Shechem and his father heard the words of Simeon and Levi, it seemed good in their sight. And Shechem and his father came forth to go home. And when they had gone, the sons of Jacob said to their father, saying, Behold, we know that death is due to these wicked ones in their city, because they transgress that which Yahweh had commanded unto Noah and his children and his seed after them. And also because Shechem did this thing to our sister Dinah, in defiling her, for such vileness shall never be done amongst us. Now therefore, know and see what you will do, and speak counsel and pretext what is to be done to them, in order to unalive all the inhabitants of this city. And Simeon said to them, Here is a proper advice for you. Tell them, circumcise every male amongst them, as we are circumcised. If they do wish to do this, we shall take our daughter. If they don't wish to do this, we shall take our daughter away from them. And if they consent to do it, then they are sunk down with pain. We will attack them with our swords, as upon one who is quiet and peaceable, and we will slay every male person among them. And Simeon's advice pleased them, and Simeon and Levi resolved to do unto them as it was proposed. And on the next morning Shechem and Hamor and his father came unto Jacob and his sons to speak concerning Dinah, and to hear the answer of the sons of Jacob to give their words. And the sons of Jacob spoke deceitfully to them, saying, We told our father Isaac all the words, and your words pleased him. But he spoke unto us, saying, Thus did Abraham his father command him from Yahweh our Elohim of the whole earth, that any man that his daughters shall call him to be circumcised, as we are circumcised, and then we may give to him our daughter for a wife. Now we have made known to you all of our ways that our father spoke unto us, for we cannot do of which you spoke unto us, to give our daughter to an uncircumcised man, for it is a disgrace unto us. But herein we will consent unto you, to give you our daughter, and we will also take unto ourselves your daughters, and we will dwell amongst you, and be one people, as you have spoken, if you will hearken to us, and circumcise every male belonging to you, as we are circumcised. And if you will not hearken to us, to have every male circumcised, as we are circumcised, we will have commanded, as we have commanded, then we will come to you and take our daughter from you and go away. And Shechem and his father Hamor heard the words of the sons of Jacob, and this thing pleased them exceedingly. And Shechem and his father Hamor hastened to do the wishes of the sons of Jacob, for Shechem was very fond of Dinah, and his soul was revited to her. And Shechem and his father Hamor hastened to the gate of the city, and they assembled all the men of the city and spoke to them the words of the son of Jacob, saying, We came to these men, the sons of Jacob, and we spoke unto them concerning their daughter. And these men will consent to do according to our wishes. And behold, our land is of great extent for them, and they will dwell in it and trade, and we shall be one people. And we will take their daughters, and our daughters we will give unto them for wives. But only on this one condition will these men consent to do this thing, that every male amongst us must be circumcised as they are circumcised, as their Elohim has commanded them. And when we shall have done according to their instructions to be circumcised, then they will dwell amongst us, together with their cattle and possessions, and we shall be as one people with them. And when all the men of the city heard the words of Shechem and his father Hamor, then the men of the city were agreeable to this proposal, and they obeyed to be circumcised. For Shechem and his father Hamor returned to the land, and his father rose up early in the morning, and they assembled all the men in the city in the middle of the city, and called for the sons of Jacob, who circumcised every male belonging to them on the day to the next. And they circumcised Shechem and Hamor his father, and his 5 brothers of Shechem, and every one rose up, went from his home. For this thing was from Yahweh against the city of Shechem. And from Yahweh was Simeon's counsel in this matter, in order that Yahweh might deliver the city of Shechem into the hands of Jacob's 2 sons.
So, see how when we read it in Genesis, we didn't have that much context until we go to the book of Joshua and we read the full context. Did Abraham command all his sons that if you want to marry into the Canaanites, they must just be circumcised? No. Hence them answering with deceit and saying, our father, Abraham, who gave us this commandment, saying, if we want to marry into any other nations, Canaanites, whatever, you must be circumcised, so that they can be sore, so that the punishment for that can come. And this was ordained from Yahweh, approved by Yahweh. Still argue? Quickly go back and read verse 17 for me.
And Hamor, the son of Chiddekem the Hivite, came to the house of Shechem his son, and he sat before him. And Hamor said unto his son Shechem, is there no women amongst the daughters of thy people that thou wilt take an Hebrew woman who is not of thy people?
Can you see? Dinah is not of them. They are of the Hivites, of the land of the line of Ham. And he's asking, why do you want, there's so many daughters, sons and daughters here. Why do you want to marry someone that is not of your people, a Hebrew? Can you see the difference playing out? Okay. Verse 21.
And they came and sat before their fathers and spoke unto them household, because Yahweh of the whole earth commanded Noah and his children that a man shall never rob nor commit adultery. Now behold, Shechem has both ravaged and committed fornication with our sister, and not one of all the people of the city spoke a word against him.
Again, can you see the terms for fornication there is not just about rape, it's about mixing your seed, that is fornication. In the same way, when Yahweh divorces Israel, Israel is fornicating or committing adultery with other gods. Same thing happening here. Fornication is not just cheating or something, it's also mixing your seed. Part of the law of fornication. Do not marry their sons and daughters.
Maybe we should end here, and that way we'll have our, I think, what did we do? 3 parts today?
Okay, yeah. We'll have to redo Dinah then, because there's still a lot about this that I need to say.
Yeah, we also got to go into Jubilee with it as well.